The door of a modest yellow house on a quiet stretch of avenue swung open to admit a young family looking for a peaceful life after years of turbulence in several cities. Oh my gosh. And now Trump is ruining it. Mom Donnie also rebuked Cuomo, who's running as an independent, for releasing a statement. Oh, these two. Oh my goodness. And they're saying that now Trump is going to kick out Tishy's grandniece out of their yellow painted home, like the color of urine. Tish James with another bad decision. In this one, she hired a lawyer who's pretty terrible. His name is Abbe Lowell, this guy. You remember him from the Hunter Biden prosecutions, and he's represented a bunch of people, man. The lefties love this dude. If you get fired by Trump, or if you're a repeat criminal or crackhead or, gun charge violator, whatever, you want to go get Abbe Lowell. But Tish kind of screwed up because he's not that good, as we'll refresh our recollection about here in a minute. But the New York Post is reporting saying Abbe Lowell is now going to be representing her. And I believe Abbe Lowell is also representing Lisa Cook, the sorority sister for Gia Cobb, and many others. And so now Tishy is having him, saying she flatly and forcefully denies these charges. What a nice statement, Abbe. Well done. We are deeply concerned that this case is driven by a desire for revenge. The high-profile lawyer who she hired in April when they launched its probe is also, there it is, representing Lisa Cook, another mortgage fraudster. Isn't that great? Is also representing her, and I think some others too. Lowell, maybe the CDC director who got fired, one of those high-level people. I think she may have hired him too. Lowell is most well-known for representing Hunty Poo. We remember him. While Biden was convicted at the first trial and pleaded guilty, Joe Biden ultimately appointed him. And that's exactly right. You remember this story. Jury finds Hunter Biden guilty on all three charges in the gun trial. Oops. As you can see, the person who was representing him there was Abbe Lowell. Conviction came after a corrupt plea deal fell apart. And Hunter knew, who cares? His daddy was going to pardon him the whole time. But Trump's not going to pardon Letitia. It's not going to happen. Biden's legal troubles coincide. His attorney, Abbe Lowell, doubled down. Reporters filled the court benches. It was over. The judge dismissed the jury after finding him guilty, all three counts. And Hunter walked out of the courtroom. David Weiss was happy about it. Hunter Biden's defense attorney, Abbe Lowell, did not address the media, but said that they were naturally disappointed. We respect the jury process, as we've done throughout the case. We're going to continue to vigorously pursue all challenges. All right, so he doesn't have the pardon strategy when it comes to Tish. He was convicted. Lowell recently also defended Bob Menendez. Bob Menendez is going to prison for 11 years. So we like the track record of this dude. Menendez was found guilty, bummer, of taking bribes for him. So Tish is like, this sounds pretty good. How you been doing on your prior criminal trials? Not so good. Menendez is going to prison. Hunty got convicted. His daddy just happened to save him. But Lowell's recent losing track record isn't a reflection of the quality of his work. It's just he's willing to take on difficult cases. Someone said those cases were losers, no matter who was defending them. Well, they should have taken that plea deal. 100% should have taken that plea deal. He lost, and now Tish is coming up with a new defense strategy. We know that this was about a second home writer. So she bought the home, said it's going to be a second home. I'm not going to rent it out. Turns out she did rent it out, declared it on her taxes that she was renting it out. And on loan documents and related forms, she said going to be a secondary residence. But on tax forms, she took the home as rental investment property, and she made thousands of dollars, according to the indictment. Now, she has a new defense strategy that is out there. New York Times running cover for Tishy Letitia says she actually purchased this for her grandniece, and her grandniece needed some tranquility, and Trump is gonna uproot her because he hates black grandnieces or something. 5 years ago, New York Times wrote this: the door of a modest yellow house on a quiet stretch of avenue swung open to admit a young family looking for a peaceful life after years of turbulence in several cities. Oh my gosh. And now Trump is ruining it. The family, Nakia Thompson, have lived at the address for a long time. But this week, with the filing of court papers, that plan is coming to an abrupt end. Just Trump hates Tishy's grandniece. The great aunt Tish was indicted by Trump, and the yellow house is now covered in gloom. A dark cloud emerging with its gabled roof and tidy lawn was revealed to be at the heart of the case. This week, with the filing of court papers, now the yellow house is in disarray. In June, Miss Thompson testified. So here's some interesting stuff. Now, she's living there apparently, but in June, Miss Thompson testified to a grand jury that she had lived in the house for years and that she did not pay rent. A person familiar with the testimony said. So what is Tish doing declaring income? This was a different grand jury. She was not asked to testify again, and the grand jury that voted to indict James was not seated in Norfolk, but in Alexandria. The specter of Mr. Trump's revenge campaign. Oh gosh, who wrote that? That sounds like Jonah. The specter director of Mr. Trump's revenge campaign. She's a mortgage fraudster. Are you kidding? She's the New York AG. Overshadowed the facts of the case. Not really. We know what the facts are. Given how he pushed for her punishment, well, we want people to be held accountable. You can't get into a position of power. You should be held to higher standards, not lower standards. For years, he's called her a crook and corrupt. Well, a lot of that language for years here, Jonah, was because she was prosecuting him. She ran for office, specifically targeting him. Has multiple videos of her face spasming out. The illegitimate president, too male, too pale, and too stale. All the things. The TDS is infecting her neural synapses. It's not functioning, firing her muscles appropriately. That's why he called her those things. Now, last month, he appointed Halligan to replace the other corrupt institutionalists, in my opinion, who just sit there and protect their own. That sequence of events has prompted outrage from Democrats. Yeah, because she stole, $18,900. They want forfeited. Trump allies celebrated the indictment, calling airtight, many other people saying the same. A lawyer for James, Abbe Lowell, has flatly denied any of this. Said that this was a tremendous breach of the public's trust, said Halligan. Miss Thompson, the grandniece, I guess, and Miss James's year-long use of the house and her testimony to the grand jury, neither of which has been previously reported, we're talking about it, illuminate the straightforward factual dispute. Real estate and legal experts says it's going to be difficult to assess the strength of Halligan's case until we get more facts. But the burden of proof is high. If the case makes it to trial, the charges, one of bank fraud and one of false statements, will require prosecutors to convince a jury that James intentionally misled the mortgage broker, which acquired the loan. Miss Thompson's testimony, and if you just gave everybody the benefit of the doubt, then nobody would ever be convicted of fraud. Miss Thompson's testimony came out, says she lived in the house rent-free. Wow, that's really generous of Tish. So she's just supporting her grandniece, and now Trump's going to kick her out. Miss James pays even for basic upkeep, they said, and it could make it difficult for prosecutors to convince a jury that the house was meant to be used as a rental investment property, which is interesting. Now we have missing money. She's like, I didn't pay any money to Tish. Well, then what is Tish reporting? Justice person declined to comment. The question is, what is the proof and what are the facts? Said some other former prosecutor. This case will ride on the legal definition and Fannie Mae, the government enterprise that she got the loans from. In 2020, the year the house was purchased, Fannie Mae noted in its guide to the market that a second home must be occupied by the borrower for some portion of the year and must not be a rental property or a timeshare agreement. That is where Miss James, so now they're filling this in. It's amazing. They called the granny. She's like, you did not pay me rent ever. She's like, definitely. I didn't pay you anything. And just delete everything. Probably, maybe they paid in cash or something, just like Fannie. They got it out of their mattresses. But did she stay there for some portion of the year? She's like, well, I go over there, like I have dinner over there. That's where her regular visits to the property to see her grandniece and Miss Thompson's mother, who also lives there, that she owns, may be useful to the Attorney General's defense team. An investment property is not occupied by the borrower. So like, well, she came over for dinner, so she's basically staying there. Mortgages on investment properties also carry higher interest rates because they're riskier. Regular tenant could not make their payments, and then maybe you require the tenant to make their payments, and so now you can't make the mortgage payments, and so they got to factor that risk in. Under the terms of a document that amended her mortgage agreement, Letitia's, she was expected to use that property as a second home, with the exception of occasional short-term rentals, according to documents and real estate experts who analyzed the documents for the Times. Beginning 12 months after the deed was signed, Tishy had wider latitude to use her property as she wished. After a year, people's circumstances changed, and the caveat raises questions. When exactly the prosecutors believed that it was used as a rental? Indictment doesn't have those dates. We were told by counsel to stand down. Somebody who works at a bank is talking about stuff. The indictment also suggests that James collected at least some rental income. Yeah, she filed a tax form. She reported thousands of dollars of rents received, but it doesn't say what year those forms were filed. And I've got questions about, does she own other properties? Like, what does her whole portfolio look like? Are those rents from other properties? In which, if she can make that argument, that's a good argument. Our New York State annual financial disclosures that James is required to file, she's only once listed rental income associated with that residence. In 2020, she said she made between $1,000 and $5,000 in income from it. In the following year, she did not list any income from the house. She did, however, list the house. She called it an investment property. From the year she bought it until the disclosure was made this year, once she was already under investigation. On Friday morning, children's toys were scattered across the front porch of the house. A woman answered the doorbell intercom. She says, no comment, she said, before curtly noting a no trespassing sign. I have no comment. There's a sign that says no trespassing. Please leave. All right. Not very nice. A neighbor called Jacob, a Navy sailor, thank you, sir, who said he had lived next to the house for several years, was more forthcoming. Jacob said that he hadn't had much contact with Miss Thompson in the last month, though he knew her well enough to refer to her by her first name. He expressed astonishment from this drama. It all sprang from a two-story colonial on his quiet neighborhood block. And so more will be revealed revealed on that, and we'll see if Tish was actually collecting rents. It sounds like they've got some good evidence that she was, even if it was minor. But now her grandniece is having to deny trespassers from coming up and knocking on her door. But Tish isn't too fazed about it. She's going to go campaign for Commie Mamdani in New York, and it's going to be her first appearance since she was indicted. And she's going to, of course, come after President Trump. We've got this No Kings thing that's happening over the weekend from all these commie maniacs. But there's going to be a rally, and Cuomo is not doing so hot. They said in front of thousands of New Yorkers, the campaign is going to say goodbye to billionaires or something. Politicians have rushed to James's defense in New York. They love her, like they love mortgage fraud. He organized a news conference, Mamdani, to condemn the indictment. Mamdani also rebuked Cuomo, who's running as an independent, for releasing a statement. Oh, these two. Oh, my goodness. Anyways, all right. So we say to Donald Trump that if you want to get to the attorney general, you're going to have to go through every single one of us, said Mr. Mamdani. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, no problem. What are you going to do? Barricade the courthouse? A person close to Miss James confirmed her planned appearance at a Monday rally, and she said she's been humbled by the outpouring of support. They raised $1 million. Chuck Schumer and others are expressing their support, and now she's on Team Mamdani. Originally, she said he would be her third, would be number 3, but now he's taken over because they love communism, and she's attaching to his coattails. Now, apparently that rally was happening today. I'm sure it was just awful because you can just see these two peas in a pod, two communists who hate America rallying together for their constituents who also hate America. But it's not just Tish. Bolton, hopefully being indicted soon. He had a big classified documents problem, baby. We went through the materials that were in the search warrant affidavit. They even had weapons of mass destruction, classified materials seized from his house. And we know that that caused a level 5 meltdown when Trump had documents that he was entitled to take. Bolton was never the president, will never be the president, cannot touch or retain these documents past his security clearances. And now an indictment may be coming down soon. Federal prosecutors met this weekend to finalize that indictment. What a nice Sunday that would be. Doesn't it sound like a nice Sunday? Order some takeout, some Chinese food, work on your indictment of John Bolton. Here's more. Federal prosecutors met Saturday to finalize the details about this thing, according to sources familiar. Prosecutors in Maryland pushed back against leadership who said that they wanted Bolton to be charged because the institutionalists protect the institution. Don't care about justice. They just protect their people, lest their own institution lose credibility and people think that they're, bad. It undermines their own power, which is why they protect their institutions. But as of Saturday, the Maryland-based team has lifted their objections. They're working on charges this weekend. Justice Department has also had internal discussions. Are we going to perp walk Bolton? They perp walked everyone else. The meeting comes 7 weeks after federal agents removed documents and electronics. The inquiry around Bolton's handling of these documents is leading to the charges. A spokesman... Abbe Lowell is back. Abbe Lowell, a lawyer for Bolton, the same lawyer that's representing Tish. I was not even expecting that. And said records with classified markings, well, they're old classified documents. Who cares? A Justice Department spokesman also declined to comment. Bolton served, so Lowell is representing Cook, Tish, and Bolton. Ugh. So Bolton served as Trump's national security advisor before Trump fired him. The searches this year related in part to investigations that he took for his book manuscript, and federal investigators got a bunch of documents, USB flash drives, allied strikes. They're leaving out the big one. Trump 1 through 4, and there were nuclear documents. Man, we saw that in there. Bolton is 76. This said 77. Some of the reasons for the searches related to a foreign adversary hacking Bolton's emails, and Trump is now prosecuting people. They say this one is different than Comey and James, which have faced far more internal pushback, but they say no. Bolton investigators in August convinced federal judges that they had collected enough evidence for a search, for a warrant. Judge signed off on that. When asked about the Bolton investigations, Trump said he didn't know what they're doing. Didn't mention Bolton either. Comey has pleaded not guilty. Tish is pleading not guilty. Bolton has not been charged with crimes, but they share a defense attorney. Man. So Comey made a good decision. He did not hire Abbe Lowell. It's like, why would they keep hiring this dude? He's terrible. Menendez is going to prison. Hunter's got convicted of all of his charges. Like, go get James Comey's lawyer. All right. He's going to be way better than Abbe Lowell. But meanwhile, while all of these prosecutions are taking place, Todd Blanche and FBI Director Kash Patel are having fun on X. They say, Todd posted this. Hey, Kash Patel, hell? I'm the deputy attorney general. I work for Pam Bondi. They said, Cash, you around? Hey, tagging you on X. The failing New York Times says we don't like each other. Dude, what's up? Guess we'll have to stop hanging out after work. Okay, it's over. Those dummies. Virtually every part of their reporting is exaggerated or fabricated per usual. If it wasn't for Wordle, nobody would even subscribe. It's true, it's a pretty good game too. Yeah, but we don't have time to play games. We have communists to defeat. Cash says, NY Trash, the journalistic equivalent of crash test dummies. And so, nice to see them having a good time while the prosecutions are continuing. New York Times is what we just read. And so they've got sources. They're already running cover for Tish and Mom Donnie. And they're saying that now Trump is going to kick out Tishy's grandniece out of their yellow painted home, like the color of urine. So we'll, of course, keep our eye on this one. We are expecting a John Bolton indictment very soon. We'll be here to cover it. Thank you for joining and subscribing as we do.